So I think it's important that I talk about diabetes and alcohol because it's a tricky situation. Yes, I can drink, and I do in moderation, but it's not a really good idea. And I'm kind of going to take you through some of the reasons why. First off, it's really not a healthy thing for anybody to do in excess. Drinking basically poisons your system, and the effects are, the slightly fun, drunken feeling you feel, and your body is left to process out all these toxins through your liver and your kidneys. And it takes a lot of work for those, for your system to kind of work that out. Now, my body is already being tasked quite heavily through my liver and my kidneys to filter out a lot of other things because of my raised blood sugar level. So adding on the pressure of dealing with large amounts of alcohol is not a good idea. Now, there's some other reasons too. Things like beer and wine have carbs in them. So you do need to give yourself a bit of insulin because they can raise your blood sugar up. So can like giant fruity cocktails. So you definitely need to take insulin for that. However, alcohol can cause hypoglycemia. So alcohol has a tendency to actually lower your blood sugar in large quantities. So I don't fully understand the science, but the basics is alcohol in your system suppresses the amount of glucose that your liver gives out. And like I've said before, your liver is actually kind of always giving out a certain amount of glucose for your body to process, and your pancreas every 7 seconds is checking this and kind of keeping things in balance. Now, my pancreas isn't checking this, so the glucose comes out and it just keeps rising, and that's where I take a 24-hour dosage of insulin that kind of slowly brings things down. So if you're drinking and your liver is no longer giving off that amount of glucose, but you're still giving yourself insulin to counterbalance that glucose, you can start to see where your scales are going to tip and you're going to end up going low because you have too much insulin for the amount of sugar in your blood. And there's no exact way to kind of tell. I don't have like a good measuring stick for this, or a count, some kind of mathematical equation that I do for this. It's just a difficult thing to kind of balance. And the worst part about it is actually the fact that the symptoms of hypoglycemia, which is really serious and needs to be treated within minutes, otherwise you can lose consciousness because your blood sugar drops so low and your brain isn't able to get the sugar that it needs, and basically your brain starts malfunctioning. The symptoms of this hypoglycemia, which can cause such damage, are the same as the symptoms of being drunk. So alcohol can not only lower your blood sugar, but the symptoms of being drunk and drinking alcohol are the same as the problem that it's causing. So you run into a really serious problem because nobody knows that you're actually really, really sick. They just think that you're drunk and having a great time. And I grabbed some of the symptoms of being drunk and some of the symptoms of low blood sugar so that I could kind of show you. So here are the symptoms of being drunk, which we all have had or borne witness to. They include lower inhibition, sensation of warmth, lowering of caution, loss of motor skills, inability to drive and do complex tasks, slurred speech, lowered reasoning ability, weakened balance, slower reaction time, staggering walk, glossy eyes, blurry or double vision, weakened sense of hearing or loss of memory. Skin can be cool to the touch, and you can feel clammy, but you're feeling warm as the person who's been drinking. You can have heavy sweating. You can have dysphoria, which is anxiety and restlessness. You can have mental confusion or a loss of consciousness even from being drunk. So that's being drunk. Now here's hypoglycemia. Double vision, blurry vision, pounding heartbeat, feeling cranky or acting aggressive, feeling nervous, headache, hunger, shaking or trembling, sleeping trouble, sweating, numbness of the skin, tiredness, weakness, unclear thinking, fainting, and going back to some of these drunken ones that I know that I feel, I slur my speech when I go hypoglycemic. I start sweating. I feel dysphoria, which is the anxiety thing. What else? I have trouble walking sometimes, or completing tasks that are incredibly simple. All of a sudden, I can't open a package. It's insane. But as you can see, these symptoms are the same. And that's where it gets scary, because the people around you don't necessarily know that you're diabetic. And this is where even cops have messed up often. They'll pull over someone thinking that they're driving drunk, but they're actually having hypoglycemia. And if you Google it, you'll find all sorts of these cases of cops grabbing people and beating them up and then realizing, oops, wait, there's a syringe in their pocket. They must be diabetic. And so it gets scary. So I don't drink much. I do drink, but I definitely do it in moderation. And I typically have one drink and no more than 2 drinks at a time. And they always advise that you eat when you drink, so that you're kind of bringing back up that glucose level that you're actually suppressing your liver from releasing. And so you can drink, and you can, do all the things everyone else does. But you kind of have to have this extra layer of consciousness, so you're aware of when you're going low, and you don't run into somebody misreading your symptoms for something else. So you can drink, but it's not necessarily a good idea, especially not in excess. So all things in moderation. All right, let me know if you have more questions about this. Cheers.